we have a lot of aid that comes into the country, but much of it is not teaching people how to become self-reliant. It's just encouraging dependency. So through this kind of education we are bringing, we are trying to build the love of learning and then have an education that allows us to find self and then work towards growing our talents and skills.
Hi, and welcome to the KindlED podcast, where we dig into the art and science behind kindling the motivation, curiosity, and mental well-being of the young humans in our lives.
Together, we'll discover practical tools and strategies you can use to help kids unlock their full potential and become the strongest version of their future selves.
Welcome to the KindlED podcast. Hey, Adriane, how's it going today?
I am so good, Katie. How are you today?
I am feeling energized and optimistic today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I'm recovering today from going to the grocery store yesterday. So do you go grocery shopping or do you buy your groceries online?
I do like the pickup option, but yeah, we just go to the store like normal folks.
Yeah. So I think even before COVID, I have been ordering groceries online. I don't know that my kids have been grocery shopping, like for like a grocery haul for like a week or two in at least 3 or 4 years. So yesterday I did not have time to order groceries online, and Vaughn wanted some new clothes, and he has a formal coming up, so we need to go get him some dress clothes. And it's right next to Sprouts. It's in the same exact like plaza. And so Sprouts is a grocery store here in Arizona. And so I decided I would just go grocery shopping after we go clothes shopping, and it would be that big of a deal. I had my list already on my phone, but I had all 3 boys with me, and I'm going to repeat, they have not been, I don't know that Dax has ever been grocery shopping. Instead, we go to the local grocery store that's right next to my house. I've talked about that on the podcast, and it's really quick. Just go get bread, eggs, milk, bananas, and it's usually one kid with me. But man, you moms or dads out there that take all your children grocery shopping, it was a little insane. And I was trying to be this, gentle parent that I am and connect with my kids, but it was also late. They literally were running around. They went from not wanting to get out of the car, we don't want to go grocery shopping, this is awful, to I heard Nolan tell me at least 5 times how much fun grocery shopping was for him.
Great.
I don't share that sentiment. It was not as much fun for me. They literally were even taking eggplants that were really long and wiggling them. And they were using them as swords. And I'm like, guys, I don't want to be buying 10 eggplants. And it got to the point where they were just so excited. They kept putting pies in the grocery cart. They kept grabbing things that we don't normally buy. So we did come home with a dragon fruit and something else that we don't normally buy. I was able to confiscate it all before it actually got across the scanner for us to buy it. And so anyways, they're running around. Thankfully, it was not that busy because I'm sure I would have got a lot of looks from people because I was trying to just let them do their thing. They were kind of helping me. I was really trying to just pay attention to how I was feeling in my body because they literally were running from one end to the other. And if to typical people, they'd be like, oh, those kids are misbehaving. To me, I was like, okay, they were making this a fun experience. They are helping, even though they were also kind of not helping. And it got to the point, though, where my littlest one had probiotics, and I told him to go put them back because they're way cheaper at Costco. and so 2 of them went to go put them back, and they fell because, and Dax had snowsuit on. What? It was 55 degrees out and raining. So of course,
suit up.
My Arizona child needed to have a snowsuit on. So the probiotics got put behind his snowsuit. They fell out. They broke open. And then that's my rule follower child. The other two probably would not have cared, which is a whole nother thing. And he just felt like he was going to get in trouble. The person that works at the store came over and just did not say a word, just stared at him. And his eyes got really big. The excited energy came down, got really small. and so I looked at him. I said, what are we going to do about this? Okay, mommy, I'm going to stop running around. Okay, what else can we do? And he looked up at the wall and saw that there were napkins or, things hanging. So he got 5 or 6 of them and he just started scrubbing the floor because not only had they dropped and broke open, he then tried to still go put them away. So there was a trail from where they broke open all the way to where he put them away. So he scrubbed that whole floor. That wasn't something I was going to make him do. And he took that upon himself. And then the rest of the grocery trip went a little bit better.
Wow. Well, I can definitely relate to trying to keep a calm nervous system amid chaos, especially when you feel like you're inconveniencing other people or other people are like looking at you, judging you. That's like the hardest thing ever. I was just at a conference teaching all of the Prenda guides about like nervous system stuff. You know this because you were there doing it with me. But we were talking about some calming tools to help cope with your own internal nervous system when there's like chaos and judgment and kid stuff going on. And my kids were singing in this choir, and they sing like in Hebrew and in Spanish for this thing that we participate in. And they were like running around, and it's in a church, and they're like supposed to be kind of quiet and respectful, and they were not doing that for sure. And so I was trying to let them. They weren't being super inappropriate or anything, but I could tell that my nervous system was just like escalating. And so I was like applying all of the tools that we were teaching people. And I'm like, this stuff's real. Like it really was helping me. It was so good. I'm like, these tools that we teach people, like I'm living it, like this is working, but also like it doesn't like get easier, it does get easier, but it's still like, and here we are again. Like, and this is just, it's a practice.
Yeah, I have more access to it than I did before. And of course, after we left that grocery store, I realized we didn't buy one more thing. And so we did stop. So I had enough in me to stop at another one that's right next to our house. And we went in, and the person that was like monitoring the self-checkout, she looked at me, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I just need to take a deep breath." So she was like, "Let me take a deep breath with you." And I was like, oh. So she was co-regulating with me in the grocery store.
I love that.
And my kids got to see these 2 adult women just taking deep breaths. And then we went on with our night. It was really cool. So yeah.
I love it. Love it. All right. Who are we talking to today? I'm super excited about our conversation.
Oh, I am too. So we met Olivia through our Facebook group called the KindlED Collective. So if you are not in that group, just go on Facebook, search KindlED Collective and join. And so Olivia actually lives in Uganda. And so let me tell you a little bit about her. Olivia Nannono holds a diploma in law and is trained in leadership, counseling, and guidance. After her diploma in law, Olivia joined an organization that reaches out to the most vulnerable families and children with disabilities, where she served for 3 years. While living with her colleague during COVID lockdowns, Olivia yearned for ways she could be of service and kept engaging her friend on different crazy ideas that were running through her head, which finally led to the birth of Enhance Humanity Uganda, which is a learning center for homeless and disadvantaged youth in Uganda. We cannot wait to talk to Olivia. Welcome, Olivia. We are so excited to have you on the KindlED podcast today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be on here.
Wonderful. Okay, so you are, is it the executive director of Enhance Humanity Uganda? Can you tell us a little bit about your role and what you do in Uganda and what is the mission behind it? And what inspired you to start this initiative?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. So Enhance Humanity Uganda started after COVID. So COVID was a period of much sadness, a lot of adjusting with life. And So personally, I kind of lost my job through that where I was working. And it was a really hard time, but it was, I always tell people it was a blessing in a way because there was so many lessons learned. And part of them is when COVID started or during that period, there was a very big shift in education. Like in Uganda, schools closed. I think we closed for the longest time in the entire
Wow.
world. And that affected, it's like 2 years. I think we
Wow.
didn't do school for like 2 years. Yeah. So, and then this is a culture where everyone goes to school. We don't have any other alternative way of learning. So during COVID-19, I was blessed to stay with a friend of mine from Canada that had homeschooled all her kids. So she was here, but she was homeschooling. So, given the fact that I'd lost my job during that very long break, um, we I observed what she was doing and picked interest in what that type of education was, and she gave me this great book about. It's called Great. The title is Great Teaching, and it talks about. It was really trashing the kind of education that we were given. It and the conveyor belt type of education that we have in Uganda, and to me, like everything was speaking to me. It's like this is so right. Like I studied law. I went through the entire education system. I did my diploma in law as a paralegal. I'm supposed to be in courts as a court clerk. But as during my internship, I really hated my time at court because that wasn't me. Like there was a lot that was happening that is required of a lawyer and stuff. Because I wanted to continue with education, with law. But during my time at court, that wasn't me. And so I realized the education system doesn't uh, look at me and my interest and what do I love doing. Everything is set for me, and I'm just told what to do, and I just follow. I'm told to be a follower. So reading that book really helped me so much to it ignited the fire within me to start Enhance Humanity Uganda because I learned so much from my friend during the entire time of COVID, and suggested, how about there's so many kids that are not going to school in our community. There's so many kids just staying home. And still, education here, even before COVID, it was very expensive. Then after COVID, it was way expensive. Schools just hiked up. So the number of kids that had to get out of school was very big. And yeah, and then we're like, then what next? There's a lot of teenage pregnancies, young girls getting pregnant at 12, at 13. Like it, it was bad. So I realized if we register, we were lucky we registered with the government here and they accepted us. We didn't really expect it because this is a new thing that we're trying to introduce. Yeah, so like that, we started Enhance Humanity Uganda. We went into the field. We sold the idea to the parents, to the kids that were not going to school, and everyone loved it. So we rented out a small space, and kids would come and read books. And then we started really simple, read books. Uh, I was doing some counseling because I really loved doing that. And I was working with parents. And yeah, that was partly my job. I don't like teaching.
What you said that I love is that, well, that wasn't me. This conveyor belt education, this was happening to me. I was told what to do. That wasn't me. And I needed something else to ignite this fire within, because that is what Kindled is all about, is igniting these passions and interests. And then what you're doing is then kindling and starting, igniting this passion in others and these kids, like, hey, you could actually do what you're interested in instead of just do what you're told. And like you said, there's so many kids that do not have access to education. Can you walk us through that a little bit and what that looks like?
Yes, so education here is you have to have money to get an education. Like even in government schools, you find that you have to pay money. And so many people here don't have like good sustainable jobs. You find we have most people, especially in the slums, work in factories, and then they don't pay very well. So you find that most parents are only surviving. He goes to work, and the father, he goes to work and he makes 10, they make 10,000. 10,000 shillings here, $3 and some. So someone's paid $3 for an entire day, but they have like 6 children at home. So you find that they are not able to take their kids to school. So that leads to the big number of kids that are out of school or uneducated.
Yeah. How did you get an education, Olivia? How did you get that opportunity to go to school to be a paralegal?
Well, for me, my mom educated me because she tried so hard to put me into school from primary, because we do primary and high school. So she was able to do primary and high school. And then when she did high school, because she's just a common worker as well, so she could not afford to take me to university. Through the church I go to, I applied. I kept on looking for opportunities, and luckily, there was an opportunity where they give loans. You study, and then after, when you get a job, you start paying back. So I did that diploma through that program, and then started paying back. But it's not an opportunity everyone gets, or everyone gets to even know about. I was just lucky.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I was reading about you guys and I read this quote and I want you to talk more about this idea. So there's a quote from your website. We transform communities from a dependent mindset to one of self-reliance, where youth are creatively pursuing their personal mission while strengthening their homes and families. And I want to talk about this mindset of dependence to self-reliance. What do you see in your culture and how are you helping people make this shift from dependence to self-reliance?
So yeah, thank you. That's I really love that statement as well. We have a lot of aid that comes into the country, but the fact is, much of it is not teaching people how to become self-reliant. It's just encouraging dependency, where people are expecting to be receiving, you know. So we believe that the wealth of the nation is in its people. So the wealth is the talent, the skills that we have. If we only had the opportunity to have an education that allows us to find self and then work towards growing our talents and skills, our nation would maybe have a lot of innovators, a lot of business oriented people. But now, because of the poor education system that doesn't allow that, we are trained to conform, like to just look for jobs, not to try and find jobs. People are like not trained to be thinkers. So through this kind of education we are bringing, we are trying to build the love of learning, and then give the like we make our learners know that education, it's their responsibility. Like they're at the center of learning, and the rest of us are like mentors that are there to help them in their journey to achieving their wild dreams, I guess. Yeah. So that's why I think we believe if they're able to do that, to follow their dreams, follow their passions, then they are not dependents. They are job creators. They are, and then under this education, why we keep saying holistic, we look at their mental health. We, like personally, I do parenting classes in the community, marriage classes, just from, and I love like family. I believe in family and the power that family has to impact lives. So by talking to these parents, because we have parents that don't know what to do. Like we judge them. You see the kids on the street, they are beating their kids, they're screaming at their kids, they are like doing all sorts of really horrible things, to banning their kids. The fact is, this is what their parents did, and their parents did, you know. And it's a nation, the education doesn't teach people how to think. People are not having, why did I, like, how did I feel when my mom was beating me badly? How did I, so the people, it doesn't come natural. So by us going into these communities and talking to these parents, how do you work with a teenager? How does your child feel when you do like this? How do you discipline your child, and in a way that is going to be effective? And then us digging into, what does beating do? Does it um does it change behavior, or it's your way of relieving anger? How do you feel when you're beaten? So doing all of that, like I can give an example. There's a certain boy that was living on the streets, and when he heard of our learning center, just during the time when we started, he started coming to the center. I was asking, where do you stay? Like, who is your parents? Where do your parents stay? And he kept on saying, my dad died and my mom is abroad. But then I kept on, okay, like talking to him, and eventually, like out of persuading and nicely handling him, he was able to open up to me. After building a relationship with me and reach that level where you felt like that person he can trust, he was able to open up and told me about that. My parents are this side, but they don't like me. I ran away because of all these many reasons. And I don't, they never looked for me. And he had changed his names. So what I did is I went and looked for the family, and luckily I met the father, and he was very bitter. It's like, that child, I never want to hear about that child. Like in my brain, that child is dead because of ABCD. So I was like, I live with this child, and he's a very smart boy. He loves learning. He's, by the way, the smartest of all the kids we have at the learning center, because he's always seeking learning. And no, and he ran, are you sure? So it's like they have love for their children, but because of the behaviors, the children, because this boy was staying home alone, and obviously was influenced by groups of other youth, and then they were stealing and stuff. So he had those habits and stuff, but then the father would thought there was nothing to do, because all he was doing is beat him. They were beating him too much, and they were shaming him. They were shaming him. They were not correcting behavior. So after several meetings with the family, I was doing the parenting with the father, because the mom was abroad. That was right. And then with the boy at the center, and now the family was able to reunite. The boy was able to tell his father how he felt about all the things the father did, and it was a process. But now they're like, together, because this was their oldest son, and they had other three children, but but now they're very close, and they took him back into school. They had the ability of educating him and his, yeah. So things like that. That's where we're like, have them. We train the boys, because that boy is going to be a better father. I don't think he's going to do the same things the parents did to him growing up. And then we try to model all that behavior in our learning center. And we see the change in the kids themselves, because you see, the beating here is not alarming, but to the boys we have at our learning center, when they see someone beating someone, their reaction, like they're like, no, 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 no. Like,
They're realizing it's not okay anymore. And you're stopping so many generational patterns. And like you said, with where you are, that's not a big deal. As you're saying that, I can feel viscerally in my body what that would be like, living and just seeing, just by using education and igniting this fire within these kids and going, look, you are capable. Let me help you with these self-reliant skills. Through relationship. I think that's really big too, is he was able to open up to you because he finally felt secure and finally felt safe at a neurological level to be able to open up to you. And you are changing these kids' trajectories for generations to come. So I want to thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. This is absolutely incredible to hear, because I think in America, we get so caught up and more, and I feel like sometimes people just go to college so they can make more money, and we want more things and more things. Whereas what you're talking about is just overall well-being is what the goal is, versus just getting more money so that we can have more things. It's about so much more than that. So thank you for the work that you're doing. This is incredible.
Yeah. What I'm drawing from all of this is that sometimes when Adriane and I talk about all of the things that you've just explained, leading with relationship, helping kids become, like, lean into who they are, right? And find their passions. And we talk about all of this stuff. And a lot of times when I talk to people about that, they'll say like, well, that works, but like, this is an exception. This kid's like really struggling, or like this family could never do that, And so I love that you're just showing us that these principles actually work. Like maybe will be the only thing that work, like in the most dire of experience of situations and contexts and families. So, and that they work across cultures too, because we see the same growth and healing here in America, and you're seeing the same thing when you apply the same principles in Uganda. It's really beautiful.
yeah, no, I think some people go on being like, this can't work, or this is a tradition. Like, people are just saying those things, but I'm doing family and human relations. So part of my class, one of the classes I did was child development and parenting. I loved it. Like, so I love my course for that, because that's what I needed to do. Like, I didn't need to do law. I needed to do that if that's what brings life to me. So anyway, by working to, like, taking those classes, like, you realize that these kids, what they need is love, is the assurance of unconditional love. And that's something that people don't get, but it's like, once they have that, uh, they are willing to change. Because we have kids that people are like, oh, that child is, how are you going to handle those kids? The community, like, can't deal with those guys. But when you get to know the kid and listen to them, it's like, they are not the devil everyone's describing. It's people failing to meet them where they're at and help them become what they actually want them to become.
It really has very little to do with like that child's character, and all of the things that they're doing that they're getting in trouble for, or society saying like, we can't handle these kids. Those are all just symptoms. Their behavior are just symptoms of their unmet needs and their lagging skills. And the answer to those things is clearly to wrap them up like you're explaining with unconditional acceptance and love, so that the part of their brain that's seeking that can relax, and then the thinking centers, and like that's when you see them wake up to like learning and the possibility of their life and their engagement in productive, safe and healthy behaviors really come online.
And I saw in your parenting section that you focus on attachment. So do you help parents understand what their attachment style is and what the kid's attachment style is, and then really start working towards a secure attachment between the parents? And it sounds like that you're developing a secure attachment with these kids too, because research does show us that it only takes one caring, loving, kind adult for a child to attach to be able to, change those neural pathways to be able to show up in relationships in a healthy way.
Yeah, no, attachment is a big thing. And again, here, if the parents expect, if I'm your mother, you're going to love me, like, regardless, you're meant to love me. So there's nothing they're doing that is building those bonds, like brings them, makes their kids feel like, okay, my mom should be my go-to person for whatever I need. It's just not happening, because when these parents are talking to their kids, it's maybe you've done something wrong. If your parent calls you to have time, you start, oh my gosh, what did I do? Like, I experienced that growing up. Like, okay, what did I do today? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, you kind of like, so it's all about over discipline, and they don't mind about the building. So that's why the parent education for me is a big thing. Like, I really, because that's really right now in everything, like teaching and all that, because we don't have the funding or the capacity for me to get mentors and stuff that can help with that. So I can just focus in my area. But it's a really big thing. I used to do it in some other organization where I was working, and I saw the change in these women, in these fathers, and then the children, the homes becoming safe places for children to thrive in, to find love. And yeah, it's a really big thing here. Like, the homes are like so broken, like so unsafe for children. So I don't know if you read, I also have a learning, not a learning center. At our learning center, we have like a safe house. It's not a safe house, but it's like, I call it an emergency housing. But then for some of the kids that really love learning, but they don't have where to go because their parents are like struggling, like way struggling than the kids. They can. I'm not making progress if I tell this kid go back home, because they're gonna run away in a day because they can't stand it. So we have that as we build helping these parents kind of. It's a big thing. We really started this with an aim, because you see where we came from, with an aim of just teaching these kids to give an opportunity of learning to kids, and then help them love learning, and then introduce a new way of learning where learning is they're at the center of learning. But then it's hard to do that for them to progress when their homes are like a mess.
Yeah, there's so much conversation here in the States about getting kids to be proficient readers and to be proficient at math, et cetera. And then there's so much money spent on that and so much focus. And what that turns into is a lot of stress for the child around those things. And where we really should be putting the focus is on the relationship and the environment, and creating a space where children really are the center of learning, and we're not just trying to increase their standardized test scores, because it ignores the last 40 years of developmental psychology research and neuroscience and educational research that shows that the brain really needs that to feel that internal safety in order to learn the things that like develop the skills that they'll need to start businesses, create jobs like you're talking about. So I love that you have listened to your community and to the kids enough to know that, yes, we're going to provide this learning center. We're going to help you with the education piece. But then as soon as that led you to really this, we need to help the families and we need to help them understand attachment, all of these ideas, you've just really gone where the work has taken you. And I think that's so, so valuable. My question, I'd love to know a little bit more about the Learning Center and how you facilitate that learning space and what opportunities there are there, what materials you use, kind of what does learning look like for these kids?
We're renting this building that it was an abandoned building. It came really as a blessing because time came when I didn't have any money to kind of help them. So there's a friend. She's some old lady from America still. She's called Donna Frazier. She loves coming. She loves Uganda. So she spends like 4 months here and then comes back to the States. So she saw what I was doing and she is in love with the work. And but she knew I didn't have the funds I needed to, especially by 2023, the organization went like really down because I was not getting any funds. And then I had all these kids that had ignited the fire, like of learning in them, and they're chasing their dreams. They're just there, and I'm like, yeah, what do I do with them? And the good thing, she saw that, and then she's like, no, 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 no. This is, you look for a building, you look for a space, some space. I'll help you pay for it. So I looked, there was this abandoned building that I stayed for like 10 years. But it's almost like they did much of the work. It's just that some things like the plumbing is missing and all that. But there's an outside to it and stuff. So it was such a blessing. By 2023, we were able to secure this building, and she started paying for it, and then yeah, she also started buying food for the kids, and I was like, that's what I needed. Like, that's, if we are able to eat and we have this space, so that I'm sharing a picture for you what we have. So we have this space, and then I had some books from my friend when she was leaving. She left some books from her own schooling, and so we have a small library of books, and we have like 3 computers, and I have a really supportive community of friends that joined in this work. So I was able to create a team of people to work with me. Once we had a space and food to feed these kids, a few of the kids, not all of them, we still struggle with feeding them, but we are able to feed the kids that sleep at the center because they 100% rely on us. So there's a lady, she's called Dina. She lives in Uganda. She works online, and she's from Russia. And she was a part of a school, kind of a community school in Russia, but doing more of homeschooling, and she shares the same values. So she decided to, she's like, I'll come and be working with you for like 2 days in a week. I'll teach the children. I'll head the leadership. I'll teach leadership. Then a friend of mine has a shop in town. He's doing computer. He's like, no, I will come and teach those kids computer skills. Um, then another one is a dancer, as a professional dancer, and choreographer, and fashion designer. He does tailoring. He's called Shafik. He also stepped in and was like, I'm going to work with you. I'll teach these kids my skills. Like, I'll share dance. I'll be teaching dance for every Wednesday mornings, and then we'll do tailoring classes as well to teach them fashion and design. So things have just been coming together like that. It's not like I'm paying any of those people that are working with me for now. They're just a group of people, a team of people So I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with a team at this point of people that believe in this dream and that love the change they're seeing in these children, because at least some of the children they used to know on the community, around the community. So they're seeing the change, and we're working together to see that someday we are able to get the help we need to establish a sustainable like learning center. Because for now, I believe we would just need to look out for people that can join us in a way of finding maybe monthly donors, because this is not sustainable at all. Because it's just some of my friends that come in and they're like, oh, I help you with this. But it's not like someone is saying, okay, you have this much for a month to run. So I'm always affected by that because I'm not stable. It's like, oh, this month, I don't know if someone will support us this month. And yeah, so it's something like that. But we're trying to put our documents together. I'm trying to get more people on the team. Like now we have an accountant is also working for free. Like it's people don't care when I say this. People like just come in. Like, they're just helping. Is putting everything together to make sure everything's calculated and all that. So yeah, right now that's how we're running. Kids come to the center every morning. We start our day at 9:30. We have a timetable. Like we said, it's like them are taking charge of their education. There was a time we had mentors. I was able to pay some people, teachers, but we were training them to do education our way, not the school's way or whatever their way. So most of the like around 15 of our kids were able to get at least the basics with the teachers present. And so at this point, it's those kids in the morning, they help out with the young ones because a lot of other kids keep coming. So we have 3 classes. We have one for those that can't even write their names. So we have like 10-year-olds, 12, 13, 14, even 15 that have never gone to school at all. So we have that class where they are able to, we teach them the alphabet and then they learn from scratch. So once they master the alphabet, the second class is for more of joining words, creating simple sentences. That is with the literacy part of things and mathematics. So we do math and English. So we are the second class. They're able to I didn't know the letters of the alphabet and are starting to join words and yeah, and maybe form simple sentences and read simple books. Then when they transform to the other class where the other big boy, other not all big boys, there's some older where the kids that at least can speak with me English are. That's when they start reading on their own. Like I start providing materials and giving them assignments and be like, okay, you read about this, or what do you want to read about today in your groups? Like we group them up so they are helping each other. So it's really a center where kids are just doing they're learning on their own and helping others to also be learning.
There's a lot of research that shows like that mixed age play and mixed age, like being together with younger kids and younger kids are learning from older kids. So I wanted to ask, you had told me when we met before that teaching English is really important and literacy skills is kind of where you start. And so when you have kids coming into the center, are they speaking lots of different languages or do they have one common language and then you're also teaching them English? And I know you had said once they learn English, that opens the door to so many different possibilities and opportunities. So I was just curious how the language thing works.
So Uganda has so many languages. Like I live in Jinja. The people in Jinja speak another language. It's called Lusoga. In Kampala, we speak Luganda. And so the north, the east, the different parts, people have different languages. So what joins us is English, Kiswahili or English, but we have not really adapted Kiswahili, so it's mostly English. And the language from the capital city, that's from Kampala, Luganda, the language that I speak. That's how I'm lucky, because people here are able to speak my language. So most people know Luganda. But if you want to get opportunities, or if you want to get a job anywhere that is a bit meaningful, you have to know some English, even just cleaning a compound, because we have people from different parts of the world in Uganda. So if you want to be employed somewhere, you need to know some English. And also, I focus so much on English because once they're able to speak English and they're able to read, we start introducing materials. Like we start giving them more material to read. They're easier to teach. Even then, the computer teacher finds it easy to teach them computer. Since we don't have books in our own language, we don't have books in Luganda, we don't have computer books in Luganda, so they will learn computer. So English is very essential. Really, everything rotates around that. So they're able to continue with learning, or even have a better chance of a little bit better job if they're able to speak the language.
I
Yeah.
love that you said English unites us. It's like there's something that's uniting you all and you're working toward a common goal. So you had also told me there's a boy that wants to be a doctor now, and he's so fascinated by biology because he has access to this content that if he didn't know how to read, he wouldn't know that it existed. So I think that's really cool how Kaity is a really big advocate for literacy and making sure that every single child knows how to read, because it really does open their world and open their mind to so many possibilities.
Yeah. Olivia, we should talk about how you're teaching them how to read, because we have a free program that we can talk after. We'll talk more about it.
I sent it to her.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
I sent it to her.
People are using
Yes.
it all over the world, and it's been effective. So cool. Okay. Well, we want to wrap up soon, but I want to understand, when you're working with a child who's never been to school before, I'm sure you have some kids who have done some school and some kids who have zero school. What's the difference? And are the kids that don't have any education background, they've never like sat in a school before, how do they handle, becoming a learner and really seeing themselves as someone who can learn?
I think kids are different, really. I would not generalize, because then you find a kid that has never been to school at all, but they're eager, they're yearning for the opportunity. Because imagine a situation. I'm describing some of them. But I imagine a situation where you see all other kids wake up in the morning going to school, and you cannot go. You're staying home and just watching them for like 10 years, because kids here start going to school at like 3 years, 4 years. And so you see all your friends have been going to school. You're like now 10 years, and you've never got the opportunity. So when they come to us, some of them really like do well. Like they're very eager to learn, and they it's not hard to teach them. They're easy to teach. And for those that have gone to school, and then for some, because they have just been playing, it's a new thing. They're really hard to teach in a way that they don't have the concentration, like to sit and listen to you for like 20 minutes. Like it's a lot for them. We always have to have some motivation. Or maybe if you're maybe when you finish your work well, I guess I'll give you the ball like you. But if you're just playing around, then it means you're not learning. You're just playing. But if you give, let's use these few minutes to learn, and then let's use this time to play. Let me give you bigger time to play.
So Olivia, I highly recommend that a book. It's called Free to Learn by Peter Gray. We had Peter Gray on the podcast. And so he talks about how there is so much learning and play too. And that might help you with these kids that just want to play, help you kind of, sprinkle in the other education pieces, but really see the value of what they're learning and their play as well. So I would recommend that.
Yeah, no, I would. It's something I've been looking into as well. How can because I don't want to force them or them to feel like, oh, I have to do this. I want it to be natural and them to love doing it. And they love playing, like they love games, even card games. Like Dina usually brings the some boards she brings, and then she plays with them and they concentrate. They give her all the attention and they are happy, like learning that way. So which means they're smart, they can learn. It's just they learn differently. So it's just figuring out how they learn and help them.
And it sounds like you are able to tap into their just natural interests and passions. And, I'm sure you're seeing that in their play as well, which is still learning for sure. So we do need to wrap up. This has been such a great conversation. And so this is something that we ask all of our guests. It is very apparent that you are a passionate person and you are on a big mission to break so many generational patterns. And so who is someone who has kindled your love of learning, your love of curiosity, motivation, and this passion that you have within you?
The person. I would say it was really it's not a person, it's like a book. It's the book that I read. The about like it's about great teaching and I guess my education as well, with my family and human studies course that I'm taking, kind of has helped me so much to see things differently. Also, my love for service, like I've always wanted to do this, like to help people. Like I love seeing change. Naturally, I something that fills me or feeds me is seeing the change, seeing someone like restoring hope where it wasn't, like seeing someone's hope restored in any way, like just makes me happy. So I guess that natural love to of serving others and the different material that I'm reading and the direction of family and education has really done so much to help me do this.
That's amazing. In what ways can individuals or organizations support Enhance Humanity? And are there specific partnerships or collaborations that you're looking for? Like, how can people help?
So I'm looking at like maybe partnering with other organizations that are maybe already established to to support in a, it could be in a way maybe they have books, maybe they have material that we need, they're able to get that material. um like I'm looking at people helping in any way they can, and we put a button, donate button on our website where if people, which we're trying to see if we have like people that want to donate monthly to the program, so we can at least be able to have a budget, because right now we have a budget but then it's really not consistent. So we're trying to have monthly donors, and we do that on our website. If people are interested, they just go on there and donate. And other organizations, partnership with other organizations, people come in and volunteer. Like I made partnership with an organization in Spain, and for them, they send professionals. You tell them what you need, and then they send people here to help you, but they fund their entire trip. They feed them, and they pay for their stay, the entire stay here. So they are trying, as we speak now, they're trying to get me like 2 volunteers. They send like per year that would come here and actually teach teach us, because some of them are experienced in this. Like help us here because it's a new thing. That's for real. However much we are learning more about it, it's the new thing. So people come here and work with us for a year or 6 months, and yeah. So I look into partnerships like that because they enhance the program as people come in.
And you said, Olivia, is your contact information on your website? So your website is Enhance. What is it again? Can you tell us what it is?
It's enhancehumanityganda.org.
Okay. And then you had mentioned to me offline about like sending materials and sending books. It can be very expensive, like shipping costs to get to Uganda, but you have people that come to the United States on trips and then they can take the materials back. So I highly encourage people to reach out to Olivia and then she can get you that contact information. Because if you go to look on, oh, I want to send books, I have all these books, and then you realize how expensive the shipping costs are, it can feel a little daunting. So we have a solution for that problem.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Olivia. We've learned so much from you and just want to support you in your mission. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like, I'm really humbled that you gave me this opportunity to speak about my work. And yeah, I hope we keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely we will. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you too.
That's it for today. And Kaity, before I go into telling our listeners where to find us and how to follow us, I wanted to circle back really quick of what we talked to Olivia about and what I really gained from this conversation. It is that we are all humans, no matter where we live on the planet, no matter what kind of culture we come from. And also, even though we've normalized things in our culture, whatever culture that might be, it doesn't mean that it's okay. What did you get from this conversation?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. It takes a lot of humility to look at what is normal and ask yourself, is normal okay? Is normal actually benefiting our children, our families, and society at large? And it takes just a lot of humility to look at that. And there's so many aspects of how the world works and what we all kind of collectively believe and do that could improve. And I think what I learned from talking to Olivia the most is that the ideas behind relationship and autonomy, like those are human things. They're not American things. They're not like K through 8th things. They're human things and they apply across the board. So I just loved hearing all of those stories today. It was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And without neurological safety and physical safety, you can't learn. And what she's seeing is that she's allowing these kids to get to that place of safety so that they are so excited to learn, which is amazing. So if this episode was helpful for you, please like, subscribe, and follow us on social at Prenda Learn. If you have a question you'd like us to address, leave a comment or email us at podcast@prenda.com. You can also join our Facebook group, the KindlED Collective, and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, The Sunday Spark.
The KindlED podcast is brought to you by Prenda. Prenda makes it easy for you to start and run an amazing microschool based on all the things that we talk about here on the KindlED podcast. If you want more information about guiding a Prenda microschool, go to prenda.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to keep kindling.